comes to advisors' concerns about the year ahead, nothing ranks higher than the looming fiduciary standard. I'm joined today by Todd Clarke and Brian Hamburger, Todd of CLS, Brian of MarketCounsel, to discuss the survey you guys recently did, looking about how advisors feel about this coming fiduciary standard. Gentlemen, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
So Todd, tell me, you guys just did this survey. What were the results? What does it look like?
You know, probably the most surprising thing that we learned was that advisors don't even want to use the term as fiduciary. They think it's misunderstood by the majority of their clients. And so branding themselves as a fiduciary isn't really what they want to do. They want to take care of the clients and make sure that they have their clients' best interest in mind, but it's so confusing as what a fiduciary is. No, the average investor has no idea.
That's absolutely true. I mean, the global financial institutions have spent decades trying to cause confusion to the clients, and I think at least the results of the study would point to the fact that investment advisors are saying, fine, we don't care about that word, but what we want to do is we want to act in the best interest of our clients. And then I think what we also saw is there's a rather mixed bag as to the issue of expansion of the fiduciary duty and whether or not that duty should be expanded to cover brokers as well as investment advisors.
So if advisors are so ambivalent about this term, Todd, why is the SEC and the DOL so ambitious about pushing this forward? Is it that important?
Who can be against wanting to make sure all clients' best interest is in first place?
It's tough.
It's tough to be against that, but defining that term and then determining how to brand that and market that term is a completely different thing, and that's very difficult. I'll use my own mother, who I love, but I'll use her as an example. She thinks that the bank teller, the insurance agent, the car salesman, and her investment advisor all act in her best interest.
Right.
They all should be on her side, and so she views them as a fiduciary. And so the average investor, although good intentions by the DOL, I think the average investor might be hurt by this.
Brian, do you think this is about legislation? Is it about marketing? What's this really all about?
I think this is about the American notion of more, right? It's why don't we do more to protect clients? Why don't we do more to make your food taste better, right? And it all sounds like a great idea, but as students of the industry, and after you spend some time here and get a few gray hairs or maybe lose a few, what you start to realize is there's cause and effect with all of this, right? And so the notion of, well, let's just expand the fiduciary duty, the net effect is clients will be better off. It's not period, end of story, right? That just begins the dialogue and begins the conversation. And I think it's taken us a while, but I think advisors are starting to realize that there's a cost associated with everything. And we need to be a lot more thoughtful as an industry in going forward and really making a determination as opposed to what we had a few years ago, which was the analysis was the same as my youngest child used to have, which is, why is my bedtime earlier than his, right? It was nothing further than that. So I think we're seeing the maturation of an industry, and this is yet another chapter that's being written.
Todd, is there a better solution? Is there something that advisors should be considering, the industry should be considering, that could work better for investors?
I think everything's on the table right now, and I think determining whether there is one harmonized fiduciary rule or not is being considered. I think, though, what we're missing is defining it for the average investor. What is a fiduciary and what is not a fiduciary, and when should I work with a fiduciary and when should I not work with a fiduciary? I go back 20 years ago when a designation of a CFP or a CFA was first introduced. No one understood that. And they've done a wonderful job of branding that and talking about the difference it is to work with a CFP. I think eventually, if the public is going to embrace this idea of a fiduciary, we are going to have to brand it and determine exactly what it is so that the average investor understands.
Well, and we're getting beyond simply someone being a quote-unquote fiduciary advocate, and what we're saying is that people are really interested in education, right? That advisors want to educate their clients as to what their role and responsibility is. No longer can they just accept client apathy and saying, hey, my clients aren't interested in that. You know what? They are. They may not be telling you they are, but every client who's got money on the line should be interested, and if they're not, then there's really a disconnect. There's something wrong, and the advisor needs to get to the root of that. So no longer, can we just say financial advocate? We really need to focus on education. and re-engage investors as to what to expect from their financial intermediaries.
Now, Brian, I ask you this question every year, so I'll wrap up with this one. Is this the year we finally see a fiduciary standard?
What did I tell you last year?
Last year you told me that 2015 wasn't the year.
And
So
2015 still is not the year.
what about 2016?
Oh, not the year.
Not the year.
Not the year.
Not the year. Well, gentlemen, thank you both. I learned a lot today. I learned that Todd loves his mother, which is good. I learned that we might be losing a little hair, but most importantly, I learned this fiduciary standard is still a little bit in flux. So thank you both so much.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
For Investment News, I'm Matt Ackerman.
Lo mejor que suena hoy.